These are indeed interesting times for Nigeria's tech industry, an industry that was not in existence a decade ago and now has influence such that industries that have hitherto been considered untouchable are being disrupted by young startup companies. Yes, the industry has grown, but certainly it can be better. And for this to happen, we have to make broadband more available and less expensive, plus put the right policies in place to protect all parties in this growing digital economy. To discuss the topic, expanding Nigeria's digital economy, is the Honorable Minister of Communication Technology, Dr. Mrs. Omobola Johnson. She holds a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronic engineering from the University of Manchester and a master's degree in digital electronics from King's College London and a doctorate from Cranfield University. She joined Accenture, an international management consulting firm, in 1985 and was in Accenture for 25 years, 5 as country managing director. She has over 25 years consulting experience, and she's also the founding chairperson and member of board of trustees of Women in Management and Business, WIMBIS. Hello, Minister. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
There is a perceived dearth of skills in the industry, which can be linked to the educational sector. What is being done about that?
So quite a lot is being done. Maybe I should just explain what we mean by local content. In 2011, when we did an assessment of the industry, we found that, yes, we have a very successful ICT industry, but it was dominated by multinationals, and the local companies were really not participating that actively or in a way that was meaningful. And so what we did was that we actually created what we called guidelines to increase the contribution of local companies, to level the playing field when it came to the participation of local companies. And so what we're trying to do is to increase from an economic perspective, it's not just about creating more Nigerian companies in the ICT sector, it's actually increasing the domestic value add of the ICT sector. So things like, right now we import most of our mobile phones, we import most of the inputs into the ICT sector are imported. And we're saying we have the capacity to manufacture these things locally. Even skills, the skills are imported or were imported. We have the capacity to train Nigerians to actually work in the ICT sector at both the lowest end of the sector and the highest end of the sector. So that's what the local content policy is all about. And we're seeing some good traction here. Just 2 weeks ago, 2 plants came on stream. The main one, the main one, Tier 3 data center. There's another Tier 3 data center, the rack center. The smart card manufacturing plant came on stream. These are major investments into this industry. And what it means is that for those 2 companies I've mentioned, and also the rack center and a number of other manufacturing, wholly Nigerian, the investment was completely Nigerian, managed by Nigerians, still a few expatriates here and there. And that's what we want to see with our local content policy. More Nigerian companies participating more actively and more meaningfully in this very important sector.
Right of way has remained a burning issue. Have we made progress in this regards?
We've made progress from the federal perspective. So right now, if you're laying fiber on a federal road, it costs you 14,500 per kilometer. This is compared with some state governments that are charging anything from 4 to 6 million naira per kilometer. So you can see we've made progress on the federal side. Now with the state side, what we're doing is that we have this Smart States initiative. And what it is that we're asking state governments to sign an MOU with the ministry on behalf of the industry that will bring down the cost of right-of-way, even if it's not to 14,500, but to something that is more, that actually makes sense from a commercial point of view. So with right-of-way, we're asking them to bring down the cost of that right-of-way. Now, a number of states have signed up to this Smart State initiative, the Lagos State, Bayelsa State, and what they've done is actually at least halved the cost of the right-of-way. So we're talking about anything from 500,000 naira to 800,000 naira per kilometer, which is not as low as federal government, but at least we're making some progress there. It's a very laborious process because what it means is that we have to negotiate with 36 state governments and the Federal Capital Territory to bring this down to a reasonable cost. Because what it is that if the right-of-way is so high, it means that for every naira that we deploy for broadband infrastructure, more than half of that money is spent on procuring right-of-way and paying taxes. If we're able to bring this cost down, it means that we can use that money to build more infrastructure and move faster to meet our broadband target. So that's the progress we've made on right-of-way, and we hope that we wouldn't have to go to all the 36 state governments. The Cross River State Government went into a partnership with MTN, and what they've done is to build metro fiber around Calabar town. basically no right of way. They basically the right of way waiver, and so they built the metro fiber. So we're hoping that we wouldn't have to go and negotiate MOUs with every single one of those 36 state governments. They will see the benefits of having rich broadband, fast internet in their states, and they will, on their own, sign up to this smart state initiative and hopefully help us to move our broadband agenda much faster.
Okay, the average SME watching this show would actually be thinking to himself or herself and asking, when would broadband be cheap? And that's what I want to ask you. When would broadband be cheap and be available?
You know, it's the $64 million question. Well, I would rephrase that question and say, when would it be affordable? Because I don't think it will ever be cheap in the sense that, look, this thing, it costs money to build this infrastructure. I think we're looking at affordability. Now, if you look at the statistics, what has happened is that between 2011 and 2015, we've halved the cost of access to broadband per megabit second. And a number of these, and what is happening now, particularly to address your question to SMEs, most of the telcos now are actually offering bundles for SMEs, you know, and that's what's really good. There's a big focus of the government on SMEs, and because of that, you see many industries are focused on SMEs. So many of the telcos are offering bundles to SMEs, basically giving them, you know, if you buy this, you get X amount of gigabytes, megabytes free, and all of that. But to answer your question directly, we are working to get to the point where the cost of broadband access for any SME is not a major cost. If you look at something like the cost of diesel, how it's such a big cost for manufacturing, we're looking at getting it to a point where no more than about 5% of your costs as an SME is spent on broadband connectivity. And the way that we're doing this, you go back to the Smart State Initiative, you go back to making it easier and cheaper to lay that infrastructure so that they don't pass on those costs, because that's what happens. The more expensive it is at the state level to lay the infrastructure, they pass on those costs to the consumer. So what we're doing is addressing the problem at the root cause, making it easier and cheaper to lay that infrastructure so that it will be now cheaper to deliver that, to deliver broadband, which that infrastructure delivers, deliver the broadband to the consumer. So when will it be cheap? I can't tell you when, but all I can tell you is that we're moving in the right direction. 50% drop between 2011 and 2015. If you can achieve another 35–40% drop in the next 2 to 3 years, then I think we can talk about accessible broadband.
Demo Africa is coming back to Nigeria in 2015. How did the one of 2014 go?
2014 was fantastic. It was the first time that it was hosted in Nigeria. As you know, the first 2 editions were hosted in Nairobi, and we fought to bring it to Nigeria because we think that we are the hotbed of innovation. It was fantastic. Out of the 40 companies, 14 of them were Nigerian, and 4 of them were actually incubated in the Idea Center in Yaba. So that was fantastic. Even beyond that, those 14 companies have gone on to actually get some venture capital into their seed capital into their businesses. So at least they're in a position where they've got the software, they've got the idea, they've got a little bit of money to take that idea further, to begin to really develop a company around that software. So very, very exciting. We're able to get them based on the success. We didn't even have to ask. They said, you know, this has been so great. We're coming back in 2015 to do Demo Africa. And really all I can say is that it's going to be bigger and better. I think first of all, we're really focused on software development, and that's really where a lot of the technology entrepreneurs are focused on. The Ideas Lab is there's one in Yaba, there's